In just a few moments time, Aston Martin is set to reveal their brand new AMR22. Now this will be their 2022 challenger, and unlike Red Bull's launch yesterday, this is supposed to be a full car reveal and not only a livery reveal. So let's take a look at the car and its brand new technical details, shall we? Now we can wait 45 minutes for them to talk about all of their new sponsors and then unveil the car, or we can go to Twitter and refresh their page every 5 seconds until we see a full picture of the car, and that's what I plan to do. Now I'm here at the Aston Martin website, and you can see right away this is the full AMR22. Now this is no livery reveal just like we saw Red Bull, this is the full blown car. Now right away I must say about the livery, this for me is a 9 out of 10, a 9.5 out of 10, and it's one of the best liveries I've seen in the last few years. Now I was one of the people that actually thought that the pink looked better than the green here, but I just think that the combination of colors, they really nailed it with this car, and it just looks incredible, especially from this side on preview. Now I must confess that there are some things in these pictures that are quite amazing to watch, and I was not really expecting them. There's a lot of cooling in this car. It's been a long time since we saw Formula 1 teams adopt this kind of cooling, and I'm wondering if they are doing this in order to keep the sidepod inlets as small as possible, because you can see that in this first picture right here, their sidepod inlets are absolutely tiny. So I'm wondering if they are doing this to keep the sidepod inlets as small as possible, and then they need extra cooling right here, or if they are trying to achieve some trick in order to avoid flow separation around the engine cover with these strakes right here, because sometimes creating turbulent flow around this area can prevent separation. Now another thing that I'm seeing right away is that we do have a DRS mechanism, and this is our first chance to see how DRS is going to work in 2022. So you can see that there's a cut in the wing right about here, and that's the part of the wing that's going to be lifted up by DRS. And you can see that this part of the wing that curves is going to stay in place. So the effect of DRS in these cars should be smaller by taking a look at the Aston Martin. Now I also see a lot of details around the floor of the car right here, and you can see that unlike the car that Red Bull showed yesterday, and just like the Haas that we saw a few days ago, this car is very sculpted around here. Now the front wing, again, just like the Haas, has that bottom part that the Red Bull didn't, and again this is how we are going to tell if a car is a launch car or a real car, because of this bottom part of the front wing right here. Now during my video on the Haas I didn't explain what this bottom part did, but what it basically does is that it creates a channel for the air that comes between these two plates to go on the bottom of the car, and creates a really clean bypass zone for the air to go underneath the nose. So since this year we are not expecting to see these capes around here because the wing goes right up to the nose, we now have this new way, this new wing element that's supposed to push the air to the bottom of the car and increase the efficiency of those Venturis. Now something very interesting from this launch is that we are not getting any angle with any kind of detail at the Venturi tunnels or at the diffuser. So we get this picture of the diffuser, but this is just plain too simple. This will not be their final diffuser. But unlike the Haas, we can see if we explore this picture right here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So all of the Venturi tunnels that are in the regulations are being used by Aston Martin. Now from this front angle there's something that I think it's very interesting. So if you look here at the right side of the car, you see a push rod, and we are expecting a lot of teams from 2022 onwards to go to a pull rod setup. And I think that this is interesting because I'm wondering if Aston Martin is trying to hide the fact that they are going in a pull rod direction. Because if you look at this push rod here, you can see that it's very obvious where it is. But if you look at this side right here, you don't see the same push rod. And to me what this indicates is that just like the Haas, they are trying to hide the fact that they are trying to go to a pull rod configuration, and I honestly think that someone is going to be fired over this picture because there is no rod here, there's no push or pull rod in this picture, and there would be no reason to have it on the right side and not on the left side of the car. And I think that they just messed up this picture right here, and there is supposed to be a pull rod right here that they are trying to hide. So for those of you who don't know, a push rod suspension is when this arm of the suspension comes from the top to the bottom, and the pull rod would be the opposite. So this arm would connect to the top of the wheel and then go to the bottom of the car. Now teams are expected to do this in order to clean the flow that's going into this sidepod inlet. So you can see that in this side with a push rod, you have these two rods blocking the sidepod inlet, and this is going to generate a lot of turbulent air and will make it tricky to guide the air to the sidepod inlet. Whereas if you had the rod going from here to here, you would have only this obstruction covering the sidepod, and this would be much better for airflow. And I honestly think that that's what Aston Martin is trying to hide here, because otherwise there would be no reason for them to have one rod on one side and then no rod on the other. And I've just noticed that in this picture you don't have either a pull rod or a push rod right here in this area. So Aston Martin is definitely trying to hide something with the suspension, and these two pictures just tell me that they have some secret suspension that they are trying to hide from the public and most importantly from other teams. And I think that we are going to see Aston Martin show us a pull rod configuration suspension once this car hits the track in Barcelona. And also looking at this picture, you can see that the sidepod inlets are absolutely tiny. Now I'm kind of worried for this because this, as I said, this cooling setup is not common in Formula 1. It's not common to have your engine cover opened like this, and I think it will increase the drag. So in my opinion, what happened is that they tried to minimize the sidepod inlet as much as they could, but then the Mercedes power unit just required more cooling. So just like we saw last year, the Mercedes power unit doesn't like to run hot and has more thermal sensitivity than both the Ferrari or the Honda. So you can see right here that this will require a lot of cooling and this will generate a lot of drag. And even though I don't expect Aston Martin to use all of these tracks in every single race of the year depending on the climate of the race, I think that they wouldn't introduce the car with these tracks right here if they weren't necessary for the cooling. Now for me the main highlight of this car is this sidepod inlet and these cooling grills around the side, because this is very unusual for a Formula 1 car, and I'm very excited to see if other teams feel the need to add this kind of cooling setup to their cars, or if it will just be Aston Martin and the Mercedes powered teams, but I guess we'll see that tomorrow with the McLaren. Now, I think that this is by far the most interesting car that we have seen, and it looks much better than the Haas, both in terms of livery and in terms of the car design. It looks like a proper next generation Formula 1 car, and that is what we are here to see. And this car makes me very excited for the kind of diversity that we will see in the 22 designs, because everyone was saying that the cars were going to look all the same, but you see by looking at this and the Haas, which are both fully legal cars, the amount of difference that there is. And I'm very happy to see Aston Martin having the confidence to launch such a full package in the launch day of the car. It reveals that they are very confident in what they have here, and I just love seeing this kind of thing. So that's been it for the AMR22 Formula 1 car launch, and those are my quick first impressions. Now for the livery, I think it's a 9 out of 10, and that they iterated on last year's brilliant livery very well, and they will have one of the best liveries on the grid with this two-tone green and the black, and I just love it. And when it comes to technical details, that's what I'm here for, and I hope you guys liked my analysis, and I just love to see in this part of the year teams trying to hide their technical details and trying to hide the secrets with their suspension and cooling setup. So that's what I love to see, and that's why I love this car launch, and this has been by far my favorite car launch of the season. But that's been it for my analysis of the AMR22. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what you think about this car and its livery. But in the meantime, that's been it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!